Coming up on this episode of The Entrepreneurial You,
high performers, as a rule, live in so much hypervigilance and stress. They are created in the formative years. A natural high performer doesn't play by the rules. We create new rules, right? We don't follow the standard. We set a new standard. Emotions are like people. They want to be seen, heard, and acknowledged.
Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's The Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
Okay, hello there, my trailblazers, my entrepreneurs, my leaders. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Entrepreneurial You podcast, your weekly source of inspiration and, of course, actionable insights on business, leadership, and success. I'm your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter, podcast coach, host, and producer, among other things. And today, we have a truly fascinating guest who's here to challenge your assumptions and elevate your game. Meet Monica Bozinov, a high-performance expert with an unexpected background in construction. While she may not fit the typical image of a construction project manager, Monica has built her career on the same principles that drive successful construction projects. The higher you want to build, the deeper you need to go. She specializes in helping her clients tap into their subconscious minds, unlocking the power of their unconscious programming to achieve faster and bigger results. Now, today she's here to share how you can put your performance on easy mode and achieve extraordinary success. So I like to say, buckle up for a deep dive into the intersection of construction principles and high performers. And of course, I just want to say a very warm and special welcome to you, Monica Bozinov. Welcome.
Thank you, Heneka. I'm so happy to be here. Looking forward to this.
Absolutely. And a very special thank you to my sponsors, the Entrepreneurial You, of course, through HenekaWatkis-Porter.com and the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Now, we're talking today, as I mentioned, Monica, building success, your blueprint for high performance on easy mode. And we're looking at your construction from the industry of construction to high performance and how deep foundations lead to extraordinary success. But before we get into that deep that we're talking about, so you've made that leap, Monica, from construction to, high performance, right? That coaching, if you could build, let's see, anything, no limits, like what would it be and why? Anything at all you could build.
Well, it's what I do every day. I get to build, or rather renovate the structure of high performers. And it's just so fascinating. I wake up happy every Monday being able to go back to my office that is across the yard and start talking to these amazing people that have so much to offer. I truly believe that high performing entrepreneurs are the most powerful people on the planet, and they need all the support they can get to fulfill their mission and do the thing that is uniquely them and has the ability to really make big shifts for themselves, for their family, but more than anything for other people and industries.
Awesome sauce. Now, I kind of alluded to this earlier in my introduction of you, Monica, that you really don't fit the profile of somebody who's been in construction, right? Very petite woman here, very, very beautiful, You don't fit that profile at all. I mean, yeah, should we be profiling, different career types? Yes, we do. Whether or not we should, we do, right? So let's talk a little bit about your transition. Well, first of all, before I even talk about your transition, why and how did you get into construction?
Oh, I did some construction work at a very young age. I built scaffolding. I helped bricklayers. I did some work with concrete and various work, in my early 20s. And then I returned back to it after studying. After 30, I returned back to management in real estate development. And then I pivoted into construction project management. So it was kind of I've done a lot of things, but those are the things that really shaped me in how I think about the work that I do today. Because I see people say, oh, that's so different. And I see so many parallels.
Talk about those parallels and in terms of transitioning from construction into being a high performance coach right now. What are those parallels and how did that transition come along?
Well, so I had this experience. I had the privilege of being diagnosed at 30 as burnt out and depressed. And it forced me to really change everything about how I thought about me, about the world, how I allowed people to treat me, how I perceived the world. I had to change everything like upside down, right? And I'm all for radical responsibility. I realized that, whoa, I allowed this to happen. It was never conscious choice, but I had allowed the things that led me to the burnout. I had allowed that to happen, right? I had in some way co-created that unconsciously, but still, right? So now I had to change everything. And as I did that, I realized I had a good mindset. I was known as a positive individual, right? It wasn't my mindset that was getting in my way. It was my nervous system because I was living in hypervigilance. And here's what I have come to realize. High performers, as a rule, live in so much hypervigilance and stress. They are created, right, in the formative years, when they are performers that live in a substandard environment and they have to perform above average to survive, right? It's really hard when you wake up at the age of 4 realizing, whoa, I'm the only grown-up in my household. That's hard. That creates a high performer, right? And then people continue doing that because it serves them really well through the educational system. It serves them really well landing good jobs in corporate. If you are compliant to the system and you can overperform, being a good girl, right? It will get you somewhere. But then for most people, somewhere around 45 or later, it gets really like tiring. It's exhausting. And what I found for me was that I wasn't burnt out because I had achieved so much. I burnt out because I had to hold back. So playing by the rules was very tiring for me. A natural high performer doesn't play by the rules. We create new rules, right? We don't follow the standard. We set a new standard. And at that level, you don't get reward from following the rules. You actually get to reward by breaking the rules. And that's what I do today. I work with other high-performing entrepreneurs, and I'm the first person to tell them, no, you shouldn't be more careful. You shouldn't calm down. You shouldn't hold back. You should be playing an even bigger game. And it's the first time anyone has ever told them that. Holding back is exhausting.
Wow, that is so deep. And something struck a chord with me a while ago that you said it, Monica, that it wasn't your mindset that was a challenge. It was your nervous system. And every fiber of my being that resonated with a while ago.
Yeah.
Because I went through a period of burnouts totally in 2020 and and continues to be intentional about not getting back there, right? And so I realized I've always been a positive person. It wasn't necessarily the positivity, the mindset that was the issue. It was my nervous system reacting to a lot of things that I've gone through over the years and not necessarily dealing with them, being held back in certain ways. And so, yes, my nervous system reacted because Your nervous system follows a continuous path that it has been trained over the years. And it's either going to serve you well or not, right? So that resonated, and I'm sure it does resonate with, persons who are listening right now. Now, just talk about that principle of going, both applicable in construction and personal growth, of building deep foundations. Another one of those parallels that we can draw. Just elaborate on this principle and how it applies to achieving high performance.
Yes. So if we think of ourselves as structures, just like a building, right? So many of us would love to see ourselves as a beautiful structure like the Eiffel Tower, right? Now, if you want to build the Eiffel Tower even taller, where do you start?
The foundation at the bottom.
Yes. And here's what happens in personal development and in performance coaching and in business coaching. Everyone says, start with your mindset. Well, that's like starting to build from the top of the tower. And as you build taller, the structure will crumble under the weight because it's not prepared for it, right? So you need to dig deep, reinforce the foundation, and then you need to reinforce the load-bearing structure before you build taller, right? And here's the other thing, right? Here's what makes it even harder. As much as we would love to think of ourselves as the Eiffel Tower, because of our nervous system, we have much more in common with the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Right? And now imagine being the Leaning Tower of Pisa and building taller. And this is what really gets to me in the industry that I myself am a part of. Think positive, affirm, push through, right? All of that stuff. And it is tearing people apart. We need to go back down into the foundation, the nervous system, and we need to recalibrate, take out the pain, the traumas, the conditioning, right? Because you see so many people calling themselves thought leaders, gurus, masters, teachers, and they tell their story of struggle and pain, and they will even cry as they do so. They are still in pain, right? Operating from pain feels like purpose, but it's not. Operating from purpose, that is true empowerment. And pain feels like purpose, but it's not. Pain was never your purpose.
So, Monica, how do you then go into your nervous system? How do you go back to the foundation and remove all of which you're talking about? How?
So, of course, that is a process, but it can be done very quickly and smoothly. However, it's not beautiful. Okay, this is not like graceful work. It's honestly there are tears, right? There's snot, there's ugly cry, but it's very cathartic, and you do it by bypassing the brain. So there are many ways you can do this, but you always want to use some kind of energy work that has a physical component, because it doesn't make sense to the brain. So my favorite tool is tapping. And by using tapping as a tool, we can bypass the thinking brain and we can communicate directly with the nervous system. And so what I have specialized in is actually seeing the nervous system as a map, as a 3D map of the body, and depending on where the conditioning and the trauma lies in the nervous system, then we can go in and pinpoint those, right? So if you have very early life trauma, so many of us do, then the world does not feel as a safe place. And And when we don't feel safe, and when we're always on guard, it's hard to thrive when your entire nervous system is just focused on surviving, right? So by healing that trauma, that pain, that fear of like, whoa, this is a dangerous place. Taking that pain out of the system, you still have the same hard wiring, meaning you can be very present and you have very strong antennas for picking up on signals that it really serves you as an entrepreneur, right? To be present and be able to scan the room and know who to talk to and who to not talk to in an instant like that, right? So then you can operate at a different level because you still have the hard wiring, but you're out of the hypervigilance. Or even if you have like emotional wounds around, I was not allowed to have my emotions. I was too much, too needy, too loud, right? Healing that and go out into the world and being a lot. That is very beneficial as an entrepreneur. Or being like, I was not allowed to be me. Feeling that like there was something wrong with me, that I was bad. Having shame around who I am. If we can heal that and you can go out into the world truly being you in a way that people can feel you, that's a whole different ballgame, right?
That's a whole different ball game, and we'll come back and we're going to hear more. Let's take a break to hear from some of our partners.
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mahfood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Of course, I'm talking with Monica Bozinov, and she's debunking the myth that it is our mindset that we really need to address first and foremost, because that's not the foundation. We need to go into the foundation, which really is our nervous system, right? And if I know for sure that when your nervous system is out of alignment, it creates another layer of challenges. Been there. And so talking with high performance coach Monica and hearing her solution, it's trying to hold back and trying to not express. It's tiring. And so she's been sharing with us the alternative. So let's go a little deeper as we are that seems to be the word for today, deeper, right? We're looking at the parallels, comparing that of construction to high performance, right? We've touched on several points, and what we want to touch on right now is what are some of the steps that someone can take, an entrepreneur can take right now to start reprogramming their, I don't want to say necessarily subconscious, because then we're dealing with the mind. Talking about your nervous system, how can we reprogram? What is deep in talking about how we can reprogram our nervous system as we are aiming to to performing at a higher level?
But first of all, we need to acknowledge, right? Emotions are like people. They want to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. And what we do and what we are taught to do, even in the personal development industry, is like, no, right? Just focus on what you have to do and push through and do the grind. And that is not helpful. Do you have children, Heneka? Yeah. So you know how a child can be when they crave attention, right?
Yeah,
And they are
yeah.
relentless. And they,
Listen, before you go any further on that, I mean, to demonstrate your point, two girls, one is 6, one is 4. The 4-year-old in particular, her love language is touch and affection. I have to, this morning her sister was leaving for school and she beckoned to her sister for a hug, and her sister wasn't about to hug her, and she almost had a meltdown because she's a hugger. She has to get that attention at all times. She has to be hugged and kissed and really loved upon. True to what you're saying.
yeah. And our nervous system is very much the same. And what we do is we go around like denying that we even have a nervous system, right? We are so conditioned to stay in our head. And that nervous system craves attention and love and appreciation and touch and sympathy and love and understanding and space. And we go like, no. And we push everything down, right? Which is why very often people will tell me when I start talking to them that they have a lump in their throat. Like the neck is literally a bottleneck. And we use it to push things down that needs to come out. And it's like not giving that 4-year-old love and touch.
So for those of my entrepreneurs listening right now, Monica, and they're thinking, yeah, that's me. What's the first step? One of them comes and they're sitting in front of you. You're now going to be coaching them. What is the first step to undoing, unlearning, unminding all that has been going on leading up to this point?
So first of all, it's acknowledging and creating awareness about what is happening.
Or has happened, huh?
Yes, or has happened. And we all have conditioning. We all have trauma, right? There are a lot of people that build a business around how traumatized they are. And I get that because it's painful. The whole point of this is to heal the trauma so that it doesn't have a grip on you anymore, right? And you most of us cannot do that alone. So for that deep work, we need to get help and assistance. But you can do this at a very basic level by just starting to apply tapping or any other energy psychology method that has a physical part to it, and you can start honoring, right? Like just do the tapping and honor, like, this is really hard for me. Like, so here's one thing, right, that we all have struggled with: doing something for the very first time, being on camera for the very first time, being a podcast guest for the very first time, having that first sales conversation, right? And we judge ourselves so harshly for it. So here's what I started doing years ago. Whenever I was doing something for the first time, I was like, of course I'm nervous. It's the first time. And I would tap as I told myself that, right? I am going out of my comfort zone for the very first time. Of course I'm nervous. I could fail. I could fail miserably. That's okay. But I'm brave because I'm doing it for the very first time. So acknowledging the pain while tapping on it is a brilliant place to start. What happens when you do the tapping is that adrenaline and cortisol in your bloodstream will dramatically drop. So you can snap yourself out of the stress reaction really quickly. However, if you have deep trauma or conditioning, right, those are in your blind spot. So you need to have hand holding around that, because you will miss, right? You will miss the exit because you're so in the inside of your own head. So you need someone that holds space for you to see that. But just starting applying any kind of energy tool on a daily basis that will help you calm that stress response. And here's another thing that I want to add on that topic is that we have, in the stress response, we have fight, flight, freeze. And then there's the very little talked about fawn response, meaning we are conditioned to do like everyone else, right? That's when you're the good girl. However, as an entrepreneur, you have to go against what everyone else is doing. And that in itself is a stress trigger. And it's not that socially acceptable, right? So as you start growing your business, not following being like what everyone else is doing, being an employee, doing things by the template that you were taught to, you will also meet some resistance because it is triggering to everyone around you. Like, why would you even want to start a podcast, right? Why can't you just go and get a job like everyone else? And that fawn response is so much stronger than we are aware of. So just by following your own path in itself is creating stress.
This is a good place at which we can do our community connection segment. And of course, you already know, my peak performers, that in this segment, I invite you, our community, to share your reviews, your questions, your feedback, whatever it is, to engage with me. And this week, I'm sharing a feedback from a reader of my book, Watkis-Porter, The Quick Start Guide to Launching and Leveling Up Your Brand. And she is Monique Russell, friend of mine too, been on this podcast as well. She gave a 5-star review. She says, thorough and comprehensive read. It is only fitting that veteran podcaster Heneka Watkis-Porter write a book about the ins and outs of podcasting. She's left no stone unturned, from ensuring you understand your audience to equipment monetizing. She's covered it all. This book is an essential resource for anyone thinking about starting a podcast or who has an existing podcast as well. It was very pivotal for me starting my own podcast. Thank you so much, Monique Russell. As we come back to my amazing guest, peak performance coach, Monica Bozinov, we are going to wrap here, just sharing a bit about how it is now we can get our high performance on easy mode. I mean, I know that is kind of overstating it a bit, because nothing is really easy. You know what I mean? Everything comes with a challenge. But what is it worth? How can we get high performance on easy mode? How can we get it from, oh my God, this is too much, to let's do this. This can be done.
Mm-hmm. We do that by recalibrating the foundation of the nervous system and by operating from passion and purpose. We have been, once again, conditioned that proficiency is where everything is, right? If you just get better grades, if you get that certificate, if you get that skill set, if you get those grades, if you finish, if you get into the Ivy League university, all of that, right? However, today we are in a very different time. The thing that makes us unique is the purpose that we have. And purpose is not what you do. Purpose is how you show up in the world. And how we also doing what we are passionate about. Because when you do something you're passionate about, people can feel it. And when you show up as you, living your purpose, people can feel it. And then they want to be around you. We have all had those, we've listened to those speakers that they have all the credentials. And they talk, and you go, right? It's so boring because you cannot feel them. Knowledge today, everyone have knowledge, but how can you convey who you are and what you do in a way that is connecting with other people? That's how you go on easy mode, because then it becomes fun and you don't have to push through it because it's just about being you.
Wow. A word to the wise. How can my listeners find you for more information? They want to connect with you because they want you to help them. Where can they find you?
Best way right now is to go to LinkedIn and find my LinkedIn profile.
Okay, and that's Monica Bozinov, and that's Bozinov. For those of you who are listening right now. All right. Thank you, but I'll come right back to say my formal thank yous after we do the Trending Now segment. And Trending Now today, I'm looking at self-improvement. In today's fast-paced world, the idea of high performance on easy mode sounds almost good to be true. With the global self-improvement market expected to reach $13.2 billion by 2026, there's a growing demand for more efficient ways to achieve success. And that's what's trending now. All right. So, of course, you've been following this conversation that I've been having with Monica Bozinov. And what an eye-opening conversation it has been, because we have been taught, and she's expressed that we've been taught to think about mindset and think about, how it is that we can focus on positive thinking and all of that. But what we need to focus on is really our nervous system. So she's debunked what we've all been taught in this industry. It's a very young industry, the self-improvement industry, personal development industry. It's pretty young, but we've been taught that, right? It's all about the mindset. And here Monica has come to debunk that. Monica Bozinov, thank you so much for coming today to join me on the Entrepreneurial You podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Your unique perspective on high performance, which is grounded in the principles of construction, certainly did offer some valuable insights for anyone, myself, looking to build success from the ground up. So appreciated at this time. And I invite you, my listeners, if it is that you found today's episode resonating with you, then share it with your network and leave me a rate and review. And don't forget to visit HenekaWatkis-Porter.com for more tools and resources to fuel your entrepreneurial journey. Until next time, keep building your dreams, and remember, success is yours for the taking. Affirm with me today. I am building a strong foundation for my success, unlocking my subconscious power to achieve extraordinary results. And might I add, I am also paying attention to my nervous system and what it is telling me about where I'm at this point in my life. Very special thank you to my sponsors, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, 5-Minute Bookkeeper, and HenekaWatkis-Porter.com. Do take care.
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mafood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.